What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and it's Fresh Build Friday. That's right, it's that time of the week again where we get you ready for the weekend with a brand new coil build. Welcome, one and all to the big show. Yes, that's right. As you can tell from the title and description of this video, this is the 200 watt plus build. And my inspiration for this one came from actually my most viewed video on my channel, which is the 100 watt plus build from a while back. It feels like I did that forever ago. So since that video was so popular, I felt like upping the ante a little bit more, and yeah, we are going to be vaping above 200 watts today. I never thought I would do it personally, and honestly, I feel like most of you guys probably don't vape above 200 watts on a regular basis, but with that, let's go ahead and try it out. So grab your wick, your wire, your mod, your addy, your juice, all that good stuff. Let's go down to the close-up view and build it up. Alright guys, so today we're going to be needing some of this 24 gauge Kanthal. There's absolutely nothing special or fancy about this wire whatsoever. I'm sure you guys have a spool of it somewhere in your build kit at home. And yeah, that's exactly my scenario. So today we're going to do 4 strips of this, and they should be about, I would say, 8 inches long or so. Just somewhere around there. That should be good for what we're doing with it today. So we're just going to clip off our first strand here. Boop. Alright, so now that we have our wire all set, we're going to take our coil jig, which I have the 3mm bit on here right now, and we're going to spin up some coils. So just plop it in there like that, and today we're going to be doing 10 wraps per coil. Coil number 2. Coil number 3. And coil number 4. So there you go. As you can see, we've got our 4 coils all set and ready to go, ready to be installed on our velocity. So real quick, let's just bring our mod in, and we're ready to get going here. So first things first, we're just going to pop 2 coils in on one side here. So I think what we're going to do is just kind of do this pretty basic. So use the bottom set of holes for the lower coils, use the top set of holes for the top coils, and as always, it's going to look like a wiry mess for a little while, but I assure you we're going to get this all sorted out in the very near future. So with that, just kind of organize your wire as best as you can here. You want to get it as close to the post without touching, obviously, so just kind of pull on the wire and bend it over. Oh, it's going to be a real big mess for a while, but it's okay. We shall persevere. We shall push through. And I guarantee you this thing is going to fire up really nice by the time we're all done here. So just kind of organizing our wire. And you kind of want to give it a little bit of shape, you know, bend it up a little tiny bit, I guess, before anything, you know, just to save yourself a little bit of trouble in the future. But yeah, this coil should still be kind of flopping around there like that, but they should have some semblance of where they're supposed to be. So yeah, we're looking pretty good already. Let's just flip this thing around real quick and we'll install the other 2. So the bottom like that, making sure it's in the right holes too. All right, so do our bend. And bend here. It also helps when you bend the wire out like that so you don't stab yourself. I've stabbed myself so many times, probably too many times to even count. So it's just, you know, part of the job, I suppose. When you're coil building, you tend to get stabbed with little shards of wire now and then, but you get over it. So there we go. All right. I know it looks atrocious right now. I know what you're thinking. It looks pretty bad, but just wait a few seconds here. I guarantee we'll be looking good in no time. So next thing we're going to do is tighten everything down. So the other thing about this build that's really cool is it also doubles as a musical instrument. All right, so with that, next step we're going to do here is trim off our excess wire. Actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to kind of twist off these wires because that way it tends to cut nice and clean if you have everything tightened down properly. When you just wiggle it off like this here, it tends to snap off just really, really nice. So that's what we're going to do. And finish it off like that. All right. So now we have some floppy looking coils here. So next step is going to be just straightening everything out. Just put your jig back in, lift up on it, stretch it out, make sure it's not touching the post. This is also going to be a good judge of whether or not you have to shift those coils inwards a little bit more. So far we're looking pretty good. This one is a little bit tight, so that kind of concerns me, but the other top one is a little bit loose, so I think we can kind of adjust from there. So far, so good. All right, so after a little bit of tuning up the coils, I think everything is looking pretty good. We're looking pretty symmetrical this way here, pretty symmetrical on top as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and fire this thing. So I'm starting it off today at a mere 60 watts. I know it sounds crazy to start off at 60 watts, but since we have 4 coils going, I feel like anything lower than that is not even going to get these things warm. So just going to start by tapping the fire button, slowly pulsing these coils because I don't want any sort of major hot spots if we encounter them at a slightly higher wattage here. So just going to do the normal kind of slow pulse. If anything starts lighting up, I'll just adjust it ever so slightly. You got to make sure those screws are really good and tight because you don't want anything messing them up, because even a little bit of heat can do it. Obviously I'll do it again after I check the coils here. So as you can see, they're getting nice and warm. Got some glow to them. So far so good there. I mean, it's a pretty simple coil. That's what I love about round wire, is it's easy to tune them up. It's easy to, you know, wick them and everything else. There's less thought process to it than a lot of the other complicated builds. But you know what? Sometimes when you get that really nice, beautiful coil at the end of it, it makes it all worth it. So yeah, we're looking pretty good here. Let's move it up to a little bit higher wattage. All right, guys, we are now at 125 watts. Yeah, if all goes well, I feel like this thing should be able to handle probably close to about 200 watts. So let's just keep experimenting. I'll just do another quick pulse here and see how things go. Quick little pulse. There we go. Definitely want fresh batteries for this build here because it's going to go through 3 batteries in no time. But all signs point to yes as far as these coils go so far. Just doing minor little maintenance things. I want to make sure these things are glowing perfectly before I put the full wattage to them. Yeah, that is looking good. I think we are good to go. I'm going to give them a second to cool down here, and then we'll try them at probably 200 watts. All right, guys, I've got my mod set at 200 watts. Whew, this is going to be terrifying. Let's hope nothing melts. Ready? Here we go. Oh, yeah, that's pretty beautiful right there. One more quick pulse, and then I'm going to wick it. Yeah, I think that's pretty safe for vaping it at 200 watts. I think we're going to try it. But first, let's wick it. Got my native wicks. Going to separate my piece first and get my little cone shape. We're going to do the bottom coils first. You want this stuff to be pretty darn tight if we're going to be vaping at 200 watts. Coil number 2. Here we go. Coil number 3 going in. Careful. And coil number 4. Pull it through, pull it back ever so slightly. Next, we're just going to thin out our cotton a little bit. Then we trim it. And I'm just going to go through it one more time real quick, especially on the bottom coils here, just to get it a little bit thinner. Then you want to do your final little trimming here. So now we're just going to tuck it into place. Notice how I cut the cotton at a slight angle. That's to give the bottom coils a little bit less cotton so I have more room in my deck. Next up, it's time for juice. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment of truth. Let's see this thing fire up at a full 200 watts. Yeah, pretty much what I was expecting. I have a feeling that this is going to get pretty cloudy pretty quick. Let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Yeah, that'll get you up in the morning. Well, first of all, let's start it off with the resistance. It came out to 0.13 ohms, which is pretty close of where I imagined this coil coming out to. I was hoping for right around 0.15, but seems to me it's a little tiny bit lower than I was expecting. Vaping it currently at 200 watts at 5.1 volts, which is staggering. I mean, damn, this thing is crazy. So let's go on to my first category, which is the heat. It's a scorcher. I have the airflow as wide open as you can possibly get it on the Velocity V2. The bottom airflow is all the way open. The upper airflow is all the way open. I cannot get this thing with any more airflow. So with that, it is working out quite nicely, but it is scorching hot. Honestly, I could probably only take 2 or 3 rips on this thing before I have to just put it down, let it sit for a while, and go back to it. But if you want to show off to your friends, this is a damn good place to start. Another thing about this build is that it drinks juice. That is no surprise to me whatsoever. I actually saw it as I did the pre-fire little close-up section. I saw it just go dry within the first couple of seconds, and I'm like, holy crap, this thing is about to light on fire. But yeah, it goes through a lot of juice, which is no surprise to me whatsoever, but it's a true testament to wicking if you can do it right. Now, moving on to my second category, which is the ramp up and ramp down time. At 200 watts, it ramps up quite quickly. I would say maybe about a half a second before all 4 coils are firing and you get the full-on vape experience. But as far as a ramp down time, let's go ahead and take a drag off this thing and we'll check it out. Alright, so ramp down time is a little bit longer than I expected at about 5 to 6 seconds, and it's a strong hiss. Yeah, the coils are pretty close together. I really can't raise up the upper coils any higher because the top cap will hit them. Obviously, if you guys have a bigger atomizer like a 25mm or a 30mm atomizer, it's probably going to be a lot easier for this build. So yeah, with this one, the ramp down time is going to be quite long. However, you kind of go into this expecting that. I mean, there's really no way around it. No matter what I do, I can't open this thing up anymore for airflow, and I feel like I wicked it as best as I could. So with that, that, I don't think there's any way to shorten that ramp down time whatsoever. For my third category, which is the difficulty of this build, yeah, it's a little bit tricky to kind of fit everything into this 22 millimeter atomizer. If you, like I said, have a 24, 25, 30, something a little bit larger, it's going to be a lot easier, but it was a nice challenge for me. But any builder can do this. However, I would recommend, you know, only the people that really enjoy a good hot build and only the people that have experience building multiple coil builds should be doing this one. Obviously, I wouldn't start off with a straight up quad coil at 200 watts, but this is for all you guys that like an extreme challenge out there, but definitely not for the faint of heart. And for my final category, which is the flavor on this build, today I'm vaping some of this Vape Killer Custard, and I chose this flavor for a reason. I wanted something very simple that's not going to break down with a lot of heat, and I wanted it with a lot of VG content as well, so you get that nice dense cloud, and that is exactly what I'm getting. I'm not let down whatsoever by this juice. It's holding up really nicely to the heat, and you can still taste it. Although it is a hot vape, you can still taste the flavor through it. As far as the flavor compared to other builds that I've done, yeah, it doesn't really stack up that well. I would recommend something a little bit more cooler, I guess, a little cooler and a little bit more complex, like, you know, Fuse Clapton's for flavor. But this one is all about the vapor production. It's all about the clouds, and it's a little bit of showing off as well. So that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget, you can also hit that notification bell right next to the subscribe button if you want to be alerted whenever I upload videos. Also, leave me some comments in the box below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this build, and if you have a suggestion for a future episode of Fresh Build Friday, leave it down there. Don't forget, I've also got the advocacy and my social media links in the box below. If you want to get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever you want, I'm on all of the different social medias, so make sure you check me out there. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, vape on!